Would you like to extend your flowering season and cut flowers from your garden ahead of everyone else? In this video, I'm going to show you the 6 cool flowers, also known as hardy annuals, that I've started or will be starting during this early spring. I will cover seed starting techniques as well as the best practices for caring for these cool hardy beauties and hopefully inspire you to give these varieties a go as well. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Anka and I grow cut flowers here in Warwickshire, UK. I document my journey and I share flower growing tips as well as my learning, experience and challenges I face along the way. Let's get into it. It's February, so not much is going on outside in the garden because it is still too cold. But if you're like me, the anticipation of the flower season is giving you the itch to start getting your hands dirty. This is a great time for us to start cool flowers that will help us enjoy blooms in the late spring and early summer. Cool flowers thrive in cooler temperatures. They prefer cooler temperatures to establish, which helps them grow into strong, healthy plants. They can be started in autumn or in the early spring when the weather is still cold. During this cold period, the focus is on growing a robust root system, while growth about the soil surface is minimal. When sowing cool flowers in the early spring, it's important to take into account the last frost date for your region. Here in the UK, I reference April 25th as my last frost date, and I aim to start my cool flower seeds up to 12 weeks before last frost. Just for reference, the UK climate is similar to zones 6 or 7 in the US. If your last frost is different than mine, just work backwards from your last frost the same number of weeks to figure out when you should start your seeds. When starting cool flowers in autumn, it is important to select varieties that can be overwintered in the ground, and your region will determine if those flowers will be winter hardy for your climate. But really, there's no replacement for trial and error, so experiment with different dates, techniques, flower varieties, and reference that experience in the following growing seasons, as the circumstances of each flower grower are going to be different depending on where they live in the world. I start some of my cool seeds indoors under grow lights in trays with moist seed starting compost. If you don't have a light setup, you can simply put your seed trays on a well-lit windowsill instead. I also start some cool flower seeds in seed trays straight in the unheated greenhouse to save valuable space under lights, or simply direct sow them straight into the ground at the beginning of March. If you're interested, let me know in the comments and I will provide detailed grow guides for each of the flowers mentioned in this video, but here's a brief overview of the cool flowers that I'm starting this early spring. The first 3 cool flowers that I'm going to talk about are flowers that I start indoors and then transplant out about 6 weeks after germination. Rudbeckia is a prolific flower producing lots of stems on the same plant. It reminds me of a miniature sunflower and can act as a support flower in a bouquet. Last autumn, I tried to overwinter Rudbeckias straight into the ground, but the slugs ate every last one of them. I have now started Rudbeckias again, and this time I'm going to give them a better chance of managing the slug pressure by allowing them to grow a little bit larger and stronger before I transplant them out into the ground. Scabiosa produces small flowers that add a pop of color in bouquets. My autumn-sown Scabiosa has made it through the winter and I have now started a new bunch of seeds that had a great germination rate. I planted snapdragons mid-January because they take a long time from seed to flower, and you are also able to see them in my previous video. They produce spike flowers that add depth to a bouquet and they are pollinator friendly. For best results, I surface sow snapdragons, Rudbeckias and Scabiosas, and I cover them with a thin layer of vermiculite. This is used to control moisture levels. I then place them under the humidity dome until about 75% of the seeds germinate, making sure the vents are left open for good airflow. Once the seeds germinate, I remove the humidity dome to prevent the seedlings from damping off. I make sure the distance between the seedlings and the lights is kept at about 1 or 2 inches, which helps prevent the seedlings from reaching towards the light and developing weak, leggy stems. At this early stage, you want the energy to go into developing thick, strong stems as opposed to putting on height. Once your indoor started seedlings are large enough to transplant, make sure to harden them off for about 1 or 2 weeks before transplanting them out in the ground by gradually introducing them to the cold, wind and so on for a few hours to a full day until they fully acclimatize and become strong enough to handle the outdoor weather conditions. The next 3 cool flowers I'm going to talk about can be germinated indoors and then moved outside to establish undercover, or they can be direct sown straight into the ground. I started Dara in seed trays, covering lightly with compost, and I left it out in the greenhouse. Dara needs a period of cold exposure to break dormancy, which is why I didn't start it indoors. Dara produces dark purple, umbrella-shaped flowers with a lacy appearance. They make excellent filler flowers, bringing contrast in a bouquet and an airy feel. Larkspur is another spike flower that can grow nice and tall if it benefits from establishment in cool temperatures. Autumn-sown larkspur overwinters very well and can really make a difference in the quality and robustness of the plant. Bells of Ireland are some of the most alien-looking plants I've seen, producing some impressive-looking spikes which can be used in bouquets for texture, interest and a unique vibe. However, they are quite tricky to germinate, so probably not a great choice for beginners. I placed both larkspur and bells of Ireland in the fridge in a wet paper towel for a couple of weeks to cold stratify. This simply means we are simulating a winter environment for the seed shell to soften and be ready to sprout. Larkspur is surface sown and covered with a thin layer of vermiculite, while bells of Ireland are sown 3 mm deep into the seed mix. As soon as they sprout, I move them out into the greenhouse and I make sure the soil is maintained moist but not dripping wet. Once they are large enough to transplant in the ground, I harden them off the same way I do with the seedlings that I started indoors, because the greenhouse does provide some protection from the wind and the more extreme weather conditions to which these seedlings will need to get accustomed. Other flowers that are cold hardy in my region that haven't been included in this video include nigella, corncockle, bachelor's buttons, buplorum, lambada, ami majus or lea. Have I missed any? Let me know in the comments below if you treat any other flower as a hardy annual. All cool flowers make stunning fillers for bouquets and flower arrangements. Many of these flowers can also be successfully started when the weather starts to warm up. However, they truly thrive when they benefit from a period of cold exposure to germinate or establish, which helps them grow into stronger, taller, more robust plants with more impressive blooms. But I suppose the biggest benefit of all when it comes to sowing cut flowers in the cold is that you give them a head start and you get to enjoy cut flowers ahead of everyone else. As the plants develop, I will provide updates, so make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be the first one to find out about their progress. If you do decide to try cool flowers yourself, there still is plenty of time and I would love to hear about it, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section along with any questions you may have. I really hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button. I'll see you in the next video.